Google Pest Control. Marketer, grow your business like never before. Call 770-993-0004.
Hello, folks. This is Hal Coleman, along with Mike Stewart, my co-host, and we're here with another episode of Pest Control Marketing Live and the Pest Control Marketing Podcast. We're here to show you exactly how to get more new customers, make more sales, grow your business, make more trips to the bank, more deposits, and get one step closer to that day when you can call the office and check in and say, yeah, I'm going to play golf today. Just hold my calls. I'll check back in this afternoon. That's kind of the lifestyle I wanted for myself when I went in business. One man with a spray can, drilling holes in the concrete and digging in the dirt and killing bugs. But then you came along, Mike, and I said, I want to grow my business, but I don't know. I'm struggling here. And so how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Hal. I mean, I love doing these podcasts with you. I hope that a lot of people get good from them. You know, we've been doing it quite a while now, and we got almost 150, maybe 160 episodes. And I plan on doing this as long as you can keep spouting out your words of wisdom about growing your business. And like I said, we just put it out there, and we hope that people get value from it, whether they do business with us or not. But, you know, the good news is that this content is real. It's from many years of experience. And, as we call you, you're the offline world, because you built that pest control business the old-fashioned way by going around and shaking hands and kissing babies and passing out business cards and wearing name tags. And God, what was it that you called that you used to do that at? I
was a member of a lot of networking groups that you've heard of, B&I, Power Core. The first one I joined was Allie Lasson's Leads. It was a national franchise like B&I. And I'd been in business I went in business in June 1990. And I'd only been in business probably a few months. Excuse me. And somebody introduced me to a lady who owned a plumbing company. And we went to lunch. She said, you ought to join our leads group. I said, what's lead? What are you talking about, leads group? Oh, she said, we have about 15, 18 businesses that get together every other Friday. And we talk about it Friday morning at 7:30 till 9, and we talk about our businesses, and we help each other get business. I'm like, well, sounds fun to me. I like to meet with people. I like to get together and hang out, and certainly want to grow my business. And so that was my introduction to organized networking. If you're out in the community and meeting people and shaking hands and going to business after hours or whatever, you're networking. But there are two sides to networking, Mike. There's this socializing side of networking. That's the art of networking. And then there's the science of networking. That's the systematic approach that is well organized in a sophisticated manner, specifically designed to turn a total stranger into a paying customer, one after the other. So most people are really good at the art of networking, the social side. They get out there and they go to the meetings and they shake hands and they eat the food and they give out their business card. They go to the meeting the next week. They eat the food. They give out their business card. They go to the meeting the next week. Eat the food. Give out their business card. And they do that for a while, maybe a year, maybe two, maybe. And then one day they say, networking just don't bother networking. That doesn't work. I tried it. I didn't get any business from it. I said, well, if you didn't get any business from it, there's a reason. You don't know how to do it. And one of the reasons might be that you're just as ugly as homemade sin, and you got a bad attitude. And the minute you walk in the room, people cringe, and you never smile, and you frown, and you scowl, and you're in and out, and nobody ever gets to know you. If that's the way you are, don't bother networking. It's not going to work for you. Okay. I'll just tell you right now, if you've got to be on, when you go in a networking meeting, you're on stage, and you're there to connect with people and communicate with people. And I was involved. I went home from that little alley license leads group. We were paying them, each of us, $35 a month to alley license leads. And I don't even know if they're still around anymore. But we said one day, there was 22 of us in the group, I think. And we said, why are we sending all this money to those people? And then we have to give up one of our meetings a month for them to come here and do the meeting and tell us how to be better networkers. Why don't we just resign from that thing and move across the street over there? There was a little restaurant called My Friend's Place. And I said, I'm sure they'd be glad to have us come over there, all 20 of us, every Friday morning, and have coffee and breakfast and network. And we'll just give ourselves another name, and we'll keep that $35 a piece. So we did that. We all resigned. We moved across the street. We started having our meetings over there, and we opened up a little bank account, checking account. We called ourselves the North Fulton Business Resources Group. That's what we named ourselves. And we opened up a bank account. I was the co-chair with a lady named Sue, and we had that group for over 10 years. And I still have close friends today from people who were in that group. But then I joined the Chamber of Commerce, and they had a small business networking group called the Alliance Group that met every second and fourth Wednesday from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. It had 40 or 50 members of that thing. But it was all about getting to know. It was about networking, totally designed to meet and interact with other local business people, build relationships with them, and turn them into referral partners. So I began to study it and read books about networking. And that's when I began studying the subconscious mind and learning under the tutelage of Larry Latimer about advertising and marketing, and reading books on the science of communication, and studying all of these things and applying them to my networking group. And it just grew my business in leaps and bounds. I couldn't really go into a local restaurant to have a business meeting with somebody and concentrate without at least once or twice somebody would come by our table and say, hey, Hal, how you doing, man? How you doing? I'd have people say, do you know everybody in this dang town? I said, no, but it seems like it sometimes, because I can't go anywhere without people coming up. And I love that. But see, if I was trying to have a private meeting with somebody, it would be kind of disruptive. But it seemed to them that I knew everybody. And so there are, and Mike, I believe that I invited you to come to the meeting as my guest one time at my friend's place, restaurant there. And you said, networking, what's that? And I said, well, come on. I said, I'll show you what it is, but you're just going to meet and greet other businesses. And you went to the meeting and got in conversations with somebody. And I think you called me that afternoon. You said, hey, that was pretty cool. I had a guy call me, and he hired me to build a website for him.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Well, there you go.
I remember, well, in the computer world, networking means connecting computers together with wires.
Yeah.
And so computer networking. So I thought, what do you mean business networking? What the heck is that? And it was, quite honestly, it was very enjoyable All those 20 people were friendly, and they were different types of businesses. They were all varied businesses. And I just remember it was an opportunity to just make new friends. And the internet was so new at the time. Anybody that had a little bit of knowledge about the internet, it was almost like shooting. We used to call it shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, it was like, well, I need to get away. I remember first one I worked on was stablemates.com. I think that was Sue's magazine or her husband's magazine.
Yeah, her husband's. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, I got hooked real fast. It's like, my gosh, you got to go eat breakfast somewhere. Or you don't have to, but I got to.
No, yeah. And I thought when you said I want talk about websites, I said I got a website right over my floodlight outside. I said they build one there every night, and I go tear it down, and they build another one up there.
Well,
that was what a website was to me at the time. But you've stayed in small business networking ever since then. That was in the early 90s. You've moved to Nashville. You've moved several times since back then, but you've always stayed in local small business networking groups, and it's always been profitable for you, hasn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's all about building relationships, building referral partners. It's not, you don't go to the group to sell them your services.
Right. Yeah.
And I'll tell you something, by building these relationships, you don't know what'll come from it. And you may find somebody that can help you with something that saves you money, saves you time. I found a person to get me a Medicare supplement that I wouldn't have found otherwise. Mm-hmm. They really, because they were in my group, they went the extra mile, to help me get products and services I need. And, here in Nashville, I mean, it has just helped me meet more and more and make more and more relationships. And those relationships have all resulted in way more than what it costs to be a member of the group.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we were talking about earlier, one of the things I like about the group I'm in here in Nashville is they kind of have a new concept. They have like 8 or 10 groups here in Nashville, and when you're a member of one group, you can go to all the groups. You could go to a different group every day, mm-hmm. if you really wanted to. And since what didn't exist 20 years ago and brings in the internet, they have virtual meetings with Zoom that you can go to meetings all over the country if you've got products or services you can sell in other places. So it's not about trying to sell your group members. It's all about building referral partners, building relationships. The real estate agent in the group goes, well, shoot, who should I get for pest control? You got to call Hal Coleman.
Yep. And it's not. I tell people, you don't join a networking group with the intent of selling. You join it with the intent of helping other people in there get new business, helping them any way you can. And that's what makes it work. If you're in a group with 15 people, you're doing everything you can to refer people to those 15 people. Those other 15 people are referring people to you. So you've theoretically got 15 people out there trying to help you get new business. And so it's very, so that's the number one thing. Let's look at the science of it. Okay. There's a lot of fun. There's the eating food. There's the shaking hands. They go into the after hours, having cocktails. But the science is, number one, you've got to go there with the right attitude. And that right attitude is not, I'm going there to give out my cards and try to get business. You go in there with, I'm going there to get people's business cards and then contact them and ask them how I can help them. Now, I had kind of a magic formula that worked about 99% of the time, and that is this. In my group, any group I joined, I identified the people in there. You know what triage means in a hospital, Mike? An emergency room?
I think it's where they leave you to prep you to go do something else.
Well, if you got 3 people that come in an automobile, you check them all and you treat them according to the severity of their injuries.
Uh-huh.
The one that's got a sprained thumb, he's the last one. The one that's got a bone sticking out of his arm is the first one that you treat. So triage is where you just categorize them. So you kind of triage the room. You say, okay, there's 15 people in this group. Who would be the best person for me to get to know? This is like shooting quail, if you've ever done it. I know you haven't, Mike, but a lot of people, a covey of quail gets up 20 birds. If you don't know what you're doing, you find yourself kind of getting excited and just shooting into the flock. If you do that, you never get any birds. You go home and eat a ham sandwich for supper. But I was taught early on, forget about the whole, pick out one bird and zero in on that bird and shoot. And now if you get that bird, if he falls, then pick out another bird. And then pick out another bird. But if you just shoot at the flock, you don't get any birds. So the same way with networking. You just go in there and look at the flock. And so you target, you triage, you say, okay, I got these people in that group I went to this morning, and one of them is a property man. It manages rental property. Boy, out of everybody in there, that one would be the best possible source of new business for me. So what do? You get to make sure you leave with their card. I've told a lot of people, the secret is not to go there and give out a lot of cards. The real secret is to come home with a lot of cards. And now you put those cards into a mailing list called My Networking Group. And you take the card, you put all their email addresses in there so you can contact them. And you pick out that one person and you call them up, or you can send them an email, maybe do both. And here's the secret formula. Hey, Mike, I enjoyed meeting you at the networking group this morning. I'd like to buy you a cup of coffee and find out more about you and your business and how some ways I might be able to help you get some more new customers. Would you like to do that? And of course, what would your answer be? How can you refute? Well, of course, this is about me. You want to hear about my business? And so they meet with you and you just say, what can I do to help you? And here's the key at these socials and these mixers, or even standing around in a group before the networking meeting begins. You say, offer you, hey, I'm Hal Coleman. Yeah, I'm Brenda Johnson. What do you do, Brenda? Well, I sell houses. I'm in the real estate business. Well, and I know there's a story there. How'd you end up in the real estate business? Where are you from? Tell me about yourself. And their eyes just kind of light up, because who is the number one most important person you're interested in this world? Me. So I ask, when I do speaking engagements, I will ask the crowd, I'll say, you ladies, I'll say, remember when you first started dating? What happened if you went out with a guy and he spent all night talking about himself? And they all go, ugh, like no more date with that guy, thumbs down. I say, what happens if you went out with a guy and he spent all night talking about you? Oh, that's a whole different story. Yes, we're going to go out again probably. So we like to talk. We like to tell our story. We like to tell people about us. We like to talk about ourselves, our family, our businesses. So pull that out of people, and they will immediately be attracted to you and bond with you. And you say, well, what can I do to help you? Tell me how you get new leads. What are you looking for? And of course, they're automatically going to have a relationship, and they're going to love you because of that. And they're automatically going to want to help you get new business. You don't even have to ask for it. You don't even have to tell them anything about you unless they ask, because just by focusing on them, it makes you become very important to them. So that's the number one thing, is you got to target people one at a time. Every week you ought to meet with somebody else, call them up until you've gone all the way around the group. You've been proactive. You've bought coffee or breakfast for everybody in the group, and you've found out everything you can about everybody. when you get through doing that, you're going to be a rock star in that group. They're going to all know you and love you. Another thing is, in a networking group, if the meeting starts at 7:30 and goes to 9, there are a lot of people that get there at 7:30 and they leave at 9. Okay, they get there right as it starts. Some come in a few minutes late, slip in. As soon as it's over, they're out the door. You're going to get what you put in. The ones that get there early, get there 30 minutes early or 15 minutes early and have coffee and talk to people and ask them for their cards and get the stories going, and then hang out a little while after the meeting. Hey, what are you doing after the meeting? I'd love to go over here to the bagel place and buy you coffee and find out more about you. You got time to do that? Yeah, I got time to do that. See, so you get there early, you try to meet people, you stay there a few minutes later and try to hang out with people. You offer to help in the group, help with the administrative duties in the group. But people need to view you as a helper, not as a seller, as a helper. And and most networking groups have some kind of volunteer stuff they're involved in. My Chamber of Commerce every year had getting canned goods for people during the holidays. And I'd volunteer my pickup truck. I'd go around for the chamber picking up cans and delivering them to this big tractor trailer truck. And whoever they put me with, whether I even knew them or not, when they put me with somebody and we went in my truck, by the end of the morning, we were friends. We were bonded. We were hanging out together. So I had a client of ours, I can't even recall his name right now, Mike, because it's been a few years ago, but he was a one-man operator, kind of a young guy, kind of insecure. And he lived here in Georgia, over in a kind of a little rural area, not in the Atlanta metro area. And we were looking for ways for him to grow his business without spending any money. And we talked about networking. And I said, do you know the mayor in your town? He said, well, I don't know him. I know what his name is. I know who he is, but I don't know him. I said, well, here's what I want you to do. I said, I want you to call the mayor's office and say, my name is so-and-so. I'm a small business owner here in the community, and I'd just like to stop by for about 5 minutes and introduce myself to the mayor and offer my services to him in any way he might need it to support him here in the business community. He said, you want me to call the mayor and tell him I want to come up and have a 5-minute meeting? He said, I don't know. I said, I know. Trust me. Anybody that's small business in the community that wants to support the mayor's going to take time to spend 5 minutes with them. So I want you to do that. He said, okay, I'll do it if you tell me to, but it's not my kind of thing. I said, just do it. So a couple of weeks later, I guess, he called me. He said, I just want to tell you, I went by the mayor's office. They let me come by there for a minute. And the mayor said, y'all get rid of carpenter bees? I said, yes, we do. And he said, well, I got 4 rental properties and they're all complaining about carpenter bees. Can you do something? So he said, so I went out and looked at them, went back, and he said, I sold him a carpenter bee contract on all 4 of his rental properties. And he said, and he's going to let me do pest control on all of them. So he said, I said, so you got 4 new accounts from the mayor of the town just because you stopped by and introduced yourself to him. He said, God, yeah. And I said, now think of all the people that the mayor knows. That's the greatest referral partner you could have, is the mayor of the town. And like the Chamber of Commerce has they support grand openings of small business. Our Chamber of Commerce, every time a small business came to town, somebody from the chamber would show up, call them, and go out there and try to talk them into joining the chamber. And if they join the chamber as a irresistible offer, the chamber would come out and do a grand opening at their location. They set up a time to do a big ribbon cutting, and the newspaper to be there. they would get the picture in the paper, a big picture of them. They would get an online note. So it was all about helping these businesses become known and helping them grow. So I would go to all of those little small business openings, grand openings that the chamber sponsored. I'd park my truck, North Fulton exterminating truck. I'd get there early so I could get a parking space right up in front by that building. So everybody that was there at the grand opening saw my truck, and they saw me with my uniform shirt on and all these. Now, the only people that go to grand openings are the owner of the business and any politicians that are running for office. The mayor usually goes, the top clergy people go, city council people go, and a lot of the chamber. So that's usually it's a very connected crowd that attends these small business grand openings. So I would go to it, and sooner or later they're out there mingling, and I'd say, okay, y'all gather up over here. We want to get a picture for the newspaper. So some people, when somebody pulls out a camera, they haul ass to the woods. They don't want to have their picture taken under any circumstances. But when they started crowding people up for the ribbon cutting to take the picture, I always jockeyed around so that I ended up in that crowd. When that crowd came together and there we all stood together, somehow, I don't know how it happened, but I was always standing next to the mayor. And so I would get a call from somebody, say, hey, I saw your picture in the paper yesterday. I said, for what? They say, oh, you were there with the mayor at some kind of business meeting or something. They didn't even know what it was. They just knew that they saw the picture in the paper, and there I stood next to the mayor. This must have happened at least a half a dozen times. So there's Hal with North Fulton Exterminating standing next to the mayor in the town. So it just builds on the credibility, you see. So they're and having a really good short, some groups have stand up and have a 30-second elevator speech. Some say a 60-second elevator speech, but you stand up and you have 30 seconds to talk to the members of your group. And most people that do that stand up and have absolutely nothing to say. They make it up as they go along. They have something different. And but you need a repeatable elevator speech. So if you stand up and say this every time there's a meeting, pretty soon that's just like an earworm. It's in people's head. They can recite your whole 30-second elevator speech. As a matter of fact, that group that I was in, Mike, North Fulton Business Resources group that you came and visited, I remember when one time one of the guys in that group said, why don't we do this today? Look at the person on your right, and when it comes your time, I want you to stand up and give their elevator speech. Now, that was pretty cool because you'd heard them so many times. Some of the people could stand up and give the elevator speech of the person next to them word for word. Same way they said it. Other people that stood up, they didn't hardly know what to say about the person next to them because that person next to them didn't have a real repeatable speech. They just rambled around, and so the person next to him didn't really know what to say. So having a really good repeatable elevator speech with an offer, with a deal, with a powerful promise, bold promise of what you're going to get and why you should do business with me and who a good lead or who a good client for me would be. So there's a lot of things that you can do to really enhance the effectiveness from networking. But networking is so powerful. And people get to know you and you build like this force in the community of everybody knows you. And I tell people it's really good when somebody calls you up and says, Mike, you don't know me, but Fred Johnson told me that I need to get you to build me a website. Now that's really good, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
But what's great is when they call you and say, Mike, you don't know me, but Fred Johnson says, I need to get you to build me a website. And you're thinking, I don't have a clue who Fred Johnson is. See, that's the way it works. The word gets out. and it spreads, and people all of a sudden call you because a trusted friend of theirs says they have to do business with you. You don't know who that friend is, but they've heard it from other people, and they just assume it's true, that if you need a website, you need to get Mike Stewart to build it. So that's I could talk all day long about networking and tell stories about networking ninjas. The first book that I ever wrote, as a matter of fact, Mike, is right here, called the Networking Ninja Handbook. I was so into networking that's why I wanted to write a book about it. So,
well, you know what we ought to continue this series, because I mean we're already at the 30-minute mark here, and I think what we could do is we could do a whole episode on materials that you need. I mean, you used to talk about business cards and name tags and logos on your shirt and strategies, and then also, you know, one of the things I think we could spend a whole episode on the perfect elevator speech and what it really means.
Yeah.
But I want to stop here and challenge everybody here at the 30-minute mark. One of the things, I go to several networking groups, and have been going ever since that day you invited me, probably over 20 years ago. And I don't see.
That was about 30 years ago.
Has it been 30 years ago? Well, there you go. Regardless how long ago it was, networking has been the most effective way of building my business in the offline world. And I bring the online to the offline world when I go to networking meetings. I give out my web. You know, it's amazing. I'll see people get up and never give out their web address. In fact, you can check this out. I had a mortgage broker in my group that I had coffee with, because we call them one-on-ones or one-to-ones. You know, schedule a one-to-one. You know, they're very encouraged. You know, somebody you don't know, say, hey, let's me and you schedule coffee together. And Mark Jost, who is a mortgage broker, didn't have a website, and he was going to get Heathrow Mortgage, which is the name of his company. I said, you know, why don't you get your NashvilleMortgageBroker.com? And you can check it out. YourNashvilleMortgageBroker.com is generating, I mean, especially with the way real estate is today and the low interest rates, he is slammed with business because people are finding him. So my point is, and this is the challenge, I've been going to networking groups for 30 plus years, and Hal's even longer. And did you hear in this episode how many things Hal did to go out and network? The challenge I lay to you listening to this podcast: are you networking? Are you in a networking group? Are you doing something every week or twice a week to network your business? You know, are you just hoping and praying that word of mouth will just catch on with you not doing anything? If you want word of mouth marketing to work for you, you better get out in your community, meet the mayor, go to networking groups, make the perfect business card, learn to do an elevator speech, build referral partners, especially in the real estate world. You have a whole strategy on how to help real estate agents become your referral partners. And so my challenge to you is, if you're not networking, you better ask yourself a cold, hard question. Why aren't you networking? And that's pretty much what I think we should leave it with today, Al.
Sounds good to me. And I want to let everybody know that, Mike, you and I both offer a free 1-hour coaching to anybody who's interested, any small business. Doesn't have to be pest control. This applies to everybody in small business, especially bricks and mortar businesses. If you'll give me a call at 770-993-0004, or you can email me, hal@halcoleman.com. I'll be happy to set up an hour coaching session with you. I'll send you a questionnaire to fill out that tells me a lot about your marketing and advertising strategies and your histories and how you sell and what you sell. And I'll make some notes once I get the completed questionnaire back. Won't take you 10 minutes to fill it out. But that way, when we spend our hour together, I won't have to sit and ask you a lot of questions. I'll already have the answers to them, and I'll have already made some notes. And I'll have some good suggestions and direction for you. Won't cost you a penny. And Mike, you do the same thing, don't you?
Absolutely. You can call me at 770 3662.
You got me.
3662. That's right. Now I'll spend an hour with you, and what we'll do is we'll do an online meeting. I use GoToMeeting, which is like Zoom, but it doesn't matter what the technology is. We'll look at your website together, and we'll talk about the 3 areas: Google My Business, content marketing, and the paid advertising. And if you're not doing those 3 things, you can have a beautiful website that's not selling anything. You may not have response triggers on it. We're going to do a hot seat, and I may tell you things that you and your web guy may not like, or who knows, you may not even have a website at all. I got a client that called this week who opened up a new branch in another state, and I built him a website in Pennsylvania. He's got a new PCO, a new pest control company he's building in Iowa, and it's when you just you don't know until we start looking in and digging in. So I don't do the questionnaire like Hal, because I can look at it online with you, and I've done it so many times that in my hour I can make recommendations that could take you to the next level. With all that being said, Hal, another great episode. I think we need to focus on this networking in the offline world, because before the internet came along, you built $1 million business by being willing to drive to that grand opening and park you got there early and parked your truck in the right spot. People don't even think about things like that, but you could have got there late and had a bad parking spot, but you wanted that truck positioned. Why? So people could see your name of your company. They could see your phone number, and hopefully they could see your website on the side of that truck when you got it. So
you know what? I'm a member of Rotary. I had my Rotary International tag on the front of my truck. So I would go to a restaurant to eat. I'd get there early enough to get the parking place right in front of the door, and I'd back my truck in so that anybody that came out the door of the restaurant could see not only my truck, but my Rotary International. And I remember one day specifically, I'm walking in my truck and I hear a guy, "Hey!" I turn around here and said, "What Rotary club are you in?" I said, "Roswell Rotary." "Are you a Rotarian?" "Yeah." "Where are you a member?" Well, he told me, and he said, "Y'all do termite work?" I said, "We sure do." So, "Well, I need to get you to come look at my house." So I got his name, address, called him, went out and sold him about a $1,200 termite job, all because he walked out of the restaurant and saw my Rotary International tag on the front of my truck. That's what sold the job. So there's all these little things. We always say successful marketing is not any one big thing. It's 1,000 little things. Well, networking is one of those 1,000 things. And there's 1,000 little things about networking that you need to know. See, it's part of that net. Yeah. And most people have a net of some sort, but it has big holes in it. And the business just slips right through it every day. And they don't realize why, because their net has a lot of holes in it. So, Mike, let's take this thing up and talk more about elevator speeches and some more strategies. But for now, I think it's time to wind up this episode of PestControlMarketing.live and the Pest Control Marketing Podcast. Mike, thank you as always. Always look forward to our time together. And folks, we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Hal Coleman has been active in the pest control industry for over 40 years, including owning and operating his own successful pest control business for 18 years. He now devotes his time to helping other PCOs and other WCOs double, triple, and even quadruple their businesses faster than they ever imagined. Be sure to check out his website, pestcontrolmarketer.com. For more information about Hal's coaching program, you can reach him at 770-993-0004 or email him hal@halcoleman.com. Mike Stewart is known as the Internet audio and video guy. Since the birth of the Internet, Mike has been showing small business owners how to get more new customers, increase their sales, and grow their businesses online using audio and video, now with iPhones and Android phones. For more information about Mike's coaching program and his online training courses, visit MikeStewartCoaching.com or email him mike@internetaudioguide.com.
Google Pest Control Marketer. Grow your business like never before. Call 770-993-0004.